This movie has been deemed as the weakest of the Mission Impossible franchise. Is it true? Well, let's find out. Here's the plot. There's a deadly virus called Chimera, and Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt is on a mission should he choose to accept it to get it back and prevent it from getting into the hands of Sean Ambrose, a rogue IMF agent played by Doug Ray Scott. In order to investigate into the matter, he recruits a thief, Naya, played by Thandie Newton. She's Ambrose's ex, so she's supposed to go running back towards him in order to get the Chimera back. First of all, I seriously don't know where to place this movie in terms of does it fit in this series? It's because it's been turned into a James Bond type film. There's a beautiful thief that Tom Cruise is infatuated with, and he sleeps with her, like James Bond. She's just added to the movie, so we would have to care for her because Tom Cruise is supposed to care for her. It just looks like a forced plot device. Ethan Hunt is way too cocksure in this movie. He's not distressed, other than the part where he's at the virus storage facility and Sean Ambrose shows up with his gang and then they start shooting each other because that is a hairy situation.
No shit!
The Ethan Hunt character was funny. Not haha funny, but just like I said in my Rogue Nation review, the Indiana Jones type of funny. It doesn't take itself seriously all the time, which is much needed. This movie takes itself seriously. There's also this cliff climbing scene that's supposed to establish Ethan Hunt's character after a 4-year hiatus from 1996. The point of it is to show how awesome his character is since he does that on his vacation. It's off-putting because it comes off as vanity. For Tom Cruise, Doug Ray Scott as Sean Ambrose and his henchman, Hugh Stamp, played by Richard Roxburgh, are probably the best characters in this movie. That's not saying much since this movie is swimming in mediocrity. Sean Ambrose and his henchmen do their job as being the villains of this movie, which is enough. They don't have to be special. Instead of being in director Brian De Palma's hands, they're in John Woo's for this sequel, so you know that it's going to have stylistic action. However, the use of slow motion is excessive, because I start to laugh when it's used after a while. I swear that you could cut 10 minutes of this 2-hour movie by just letting some parts play at regular speed. I understand using it for style, but my goodness. For example, there's this slow motion at this car chase scene between Tom Cruise and Naya. And I don't even know if I should even call it a car chase. It's more of a car flirtation. And at the end, Naya's car is out of control. And there's a slow-mo shot of her and then Tom Cruise. And then back and forth and so on and so forth. I was laughing because it looked like a spoof. At a crucial point in this movie, there's this one line where Tom Cruise says, I was thinking that this ripped off the waterfall scene from The Last of the Mohicans.
Stay alive no matter what occurs. I will find you. No matter how long it takes, no matter how far. I will find you.
Tom Cruise kind of sounds like how Daniel Day-Lewis said it. In The Last of the Mohicans, the line meant something. In this movie, there's not a lot to say. I laughed, and I was done with this movie. In fact, I was done after that car flirtation. Here's what I liked from the last action scenes of this movie. The motorcycle chase scene was adrenaline-filled. It was much needed due to the stylistic overload of this movie with the action scene, thanks to John Woo. I mean, motorcycle chase scenes are just awesome. The last fight scene and the previous fight scenes generally use martial arts, which is much appreciated since I do like martial arts movies. I'm talking about the more modern ones like Ip Man and its sequel. I did like the action in the raid. The fight scenes in this movie were half as amped as those movies. And it plays out like that fight scene in Die Hard 2, where Bruce Willis is fighting with this other guy. I can't remember who he is. But it uses more martial arts, with the kicks instead of just being a brawler type of fight scene. The action is well choreographed, but the story is weak, and you don't really care about the characters. I also forgot to mention that Luther, played by Ving Rhames, has a few comedic moments, but the other IMF agent, Billy Baird, is just there. He doesn't have that much to do because his purpose is to fly the helicopter around. I can't recommend this movie as a legitimate Mission Impossible movie because it's so unnecessarily stylistic and pathetically funny. It's a shame that this was a part of a Mission Impossible franchise because the story isn't up to snuff compared to the other movies, and the overall action pales in comparison to Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, the most recent good Mission Impossible movies. It's entertaining for the most part due to the action and excessiveness, good or bad, and I wasn't bored at all. The execution overall was lacking, and I can't imagine watching a 3.5-hour original cut of this. It exists, or at least it existed according to the trivia page on IMDb. Oh God. I mean, I bet that excessive amount of time is spent with slow motion. It's too bad that this movie went over schedule because it cost Dougray Scott the role of Wolverine